My beloved child, listen carefully, because this moment is not ordinary. What is happening right now was scheduled in heaven long before you clicked on this message. The air around you carries urgency, and the silence you felt before this began was not emptiness. It was heaven holding its breath. God is speaking right now, and Archangel Michael stands as a watchman, warning that this is an urgent heavenly message that cannot be delayed. If you sense pressure in your spirit, that is not fear, that is recognition. Your soul knows this voice. There are moments when heaven whispers, and there are moments when heaven interrupts. This is not a whisper. This is an interruption. Archangel Michael has been dispatched because time-sensitive truths are being released. You were not meant to stumble into this by accident. You were guided here because there is a decision approaching, one that will quietly shape the next season of your life. Heaven is not forcing you, but it is urgently inviting you to listen. You may have felt recently that something was off. Not wrong, but unfinished. Conversations that almost happened. Opportunities that circled but never landed. Prayers that felt heard but not yet answered. This is because God hath been preparing you for clarity, not confusion. Archangel Michael warns that delay is the enemy's favorite disguise. What you postpone today can become the regret you carry tomorrow. That is why this message carries weight. Do not misunderstand this warning. This is not about punishment. This is about timing. Heaven operates on appointed moments, and when those moments arrive, they do not linger. Archangel Michael is speaking because the window is open now. If you ignore this, it is not that God will stop speaking, but you may never hear him this clearly again at this crossroads. Some messages repeat. Others are released once. Right now, God is addressing the part of you that has been waiting for certainty. You have been asking for a sign, but heaven is offering alignment. A sign points. Alignment moves. This message is not meant to oppress you. It is meant to position you. Archangel Michael stands with sword drawn, not for battle, but for separation, cutting away hesitation, doubt, and spiritual noise that has clouded your discernment. There's something important about your obedience in this hour. You may think obedience means a huge action, but sometimes obedience is simply attention. The ability to pause, to listen, to not scroll away. Heaven notices what you honor. And right now, heaven is watching to see if you will treat this moment as sacred or casual. God knows you have been strong for others. You have carried responsibilities quietly. You have smiled while your spirit processed unanswered questions. Archangel Michael acknowledges this endurance, but he also warns, strength without direction leads to exhaustion. That is why God is speaking now, not to burden you, but to realign you before weariness sets in. There is also a protective element to this message. Something unseen hath been trying to rush you into decisions that feel urgent but are not divine. Archangel Michael is intervening to slow you down in the right places and speed you up in the right ones. Heaven is recalibrating your sense of urgency. What God is asking of you next will require clarity, not panic. Pay attention to this. The reason this message feels intense is because it is precise. Vague warnings create fear. Precise warnings create wisdom. God is not alarming you. He is alerting you. There is a difference. Archangel Michael warns because what is coming next in your life will require spiritual awareness. You cannot afford to move on autopilot anymore. If you have felt a tug toward prayer, toward silence, toward stepping back from certain voices, the tug is confirmation. God has been thinning the noise so you can hear him clearly now. This is why this message feels personal, because it is. Heaven does not mass-produce urgency. This is tailored. Understand this clearly. Ignoring this does not make you bad or unworthy. It simply means you choose delay over discernment. But Archangel Michael reminds you that delay has consequences, not always loud ones, but slow ones. Missed peace, missed timing, missed clarity. And heaven loves you too much to stay silent while that happens. Right now, God is inviting you into a moment of agreement. Agreement between what you have been sensing and what heaven has been saying. This is the alignment point, the place where confusion breaks and direction begins. Do not rush past this. Do not minimize it. Treat it as the holy interruption it is. Take a breath. Let your spirit settle. This message is not here to scare you. It is here to steady you. Archangel Michael stands guard as God speaks because what comes next requires courage, attention, and trust. And this is only the beginning of what heaven is about to reveal to you. Beloved soul, let your heart remain open, because what unfolds now is not meant for everyone, only for those willing to recognize divine urgency without fear. Archangel Michael steps closer in this moment, not to overwhelm you, but to stabilize you. Heaven is not rushing you into chaos. It is pulling you out of delay. God knows how easy it is to misunderstand urgency as pressure, but this message carries peace beneath its intensity. If you feel calm even while sensing importance, that is how you know this is from God. There has been a quiet war over your attention. Not dramatic and not loud, but subtle. Distractions that seem harmless. Delays that appear reasonable. Comfort that slowly dulls discernment. Archangel Michael warns that the greatest spiritual losses do not happen through obvious mistakes, but through postponed obedience. You told yourself you would act soon. Heaven heard that word, and now heaven replies, soon as now. God is speaking because something you have been praying about is approaching its point of decision. Let decision from heaven. Heaven has already decided. The decision is yours. And this is where clarity matters. You are not being asked to leap blindly. You are being asked to trust what you already know in your spirit. Archangel Michael reminds you that discernment is not learned in the moment of urgency. It is revealed in the moment of stillness. That stillness is here. You may have noticed a pattern recently. The same thought returning. The same inner nudge repeating. The same door gently opening again and again. That repetition is not coincidence. God repeats what we hesitate to accept. This message arrives because heaven has been patient, but patience does not cancel purpose. Archangel Michael stands as witness that this is not about forcing you forward, but about preventing you from staying stuck. There is also confirmation coming through this message. Something you questioned, whether it was truly from God, is being affirmed right now. The unease you felt about ignoring it was your answer. Peace does not come from avoidance, it comes from alignment. And alignment often begins with a warning wrapped in love. This is that moment. Hear this clearly. God is not disappointed in you. He is attentive. He has been watching how much you carry, how often you choose others over yourself, how you delay your own obedience to keep peace around you. Archangel Michael warns that self-sacrifice without divine instruction turns into self-neglect. Heaven is correcting that pattern now. This message also carries protection. Some choices look harmless but would drain your strength over time. Some paths look safe but would slowly disconnect you from joy. God is intervening early because He values your future peace. Archangel Michael does not guard what is insignificant. If He is present, it means what you are stepping into matters more than you realize. As you receive this, do not isolate yourself. God often uses community to seal what He reveals privately. If this message resonates, let it be known. Like this message so it reaches others who are also waiting for clarity. Share it with someone who has been feeling the same quiet urgency. I'm meant to mark this moment not for attention but for agreement. When you engage, you are not helping a channel. You are amplifying a warning that could realign another soul. And if this space hath been a consistent source of spiritual clarity for you, stay connected. Subscribe so you do not miss what heaven releases next. Join the membership if you feel called to go deeper, because some messages are for the crowd, but others are for the committed. This is not about numbers. It is about continuity. God often speaks progressively, not all at once. Archangel Michael also wants you to understand this. Urgency does not mean everything must change today. It means attention must. When attention shifts, decisions follow naturally. Heaven is patient with process but firm about direction. That is why this message feels both gentle and firm at the same time. You are being repositioned internally before anything changes externally. God adjusts the heart before He adjusts the path. That inner adjustment may feel uncomfortable because it requires honesty with yourself first. But honesty is the doorway to freedom. Archangel Michael stands guard at that doorway, ensuring nothing enters that does not belong. If part of you feels like this message arrived just in time, that is not imagination. Divine timing often feels personal because it is. Heaven knows when you are most receptive. This is one of those windows. Do not overthink it. Receive it. Hold on, because what comes next will connect the warning you are hearing now with a very specific shift you are about to notice in your daily life. And once you see that connection, everything will make sense in a way it never has before. Chosen one, there is a reason your spirit feels alert right now, as if something invisible has stepped closer. This is the moment where heaven moves from warning into revelation. Archangel Michael is not only guarding you, he is clarifying what has been hidden in plain sight. God is speaking now about patterns you thought were normal, but were actually signals that your season was shifting long before you were ready to admit it. You have been living between two spaces, what you know God promised and what you have settled for in the meantime. That in-between place can feel safe, but it is also where growth slows. Archangel Michael warns that comfort without confirmation can quietly become a cage. Not a painful one, but a familiar one. And familiar cages are the hardest to recognize. This message arrives to open your eyes gently, not to shame you, but to free you. There is something specific God wants you to release. Not necessarily a person or a place, but an agreement. An internal agreement that said, "This is as far as I go," or "This is just how it is." Heaven never spoke that sentence over you. That sentence was formed through disappointment, delay, or survival. Archangel Michael stands now to break that agreement, because what God is about to do next in your life requires space. You may have wondered why certain prayers felt delayed while others were answered quickly. It was not inconsistency. It was preparation. God answers some prayers instantly, but He prepares us for others because the blessing carries responsibility. Archangel Michael warns that responsibility without readiness creates pressure. That is why heaven slowed some things down, to strengthen you quietly. Notice how your discernment has sharpened recently. You see through conversations faster. You sense intentions more clearly. You feel drained by things that once excited you. These are not signs of burnout. They are signs of elevation. When God prepares to lift you, He changes what you can tolerate. Archangel Michael confirms that this sensitivity is not weakness. It is refinement. This message also reveals something encouraging. You are not late. You may feel behind compared to others, But heaven does not measure progress the way people do. God measures alignment. And right now, alignment is happening. The fact that you are hearing this message means you are still within the window. Archangel Michael does not warn those who have already missed it. He warns those who can still choose. There is a door ahead that will not announce itself loudly. It will appear ordinary. That is why this warning matters. You will recognize that door not by excitement, but by peace. A calm knowing. A sense of this is it, even if it stretches you. Archangel Michael urges you not to dismiss peace just because it lacks drama. God often hides destiny in simplicity. Pay attention to the next conversation that feels different, the next idea that won't leave you alone, the next opportunity that aligns with your values instead of challenging them. These are confirmations, not coincidences. Heaven speaks through repetition and resonance. This message is tuning your ear so you do not miss what comes next. There is also healing happening as you listen. Old disappointments are loosening their grip. Old fears are losing authority. You may not feel emotional, but something is shifting beneath the surface. Archangel Michael stands watch as God restores your confidence, not arrogance, but quiet certainty. The kind that does not need approval. Understand this. Urgency does not mean danger is chasing you. It means destiny is calling you. Heaven is not alarmed. It is intentional. And you are being invited, not forced. But invitations can expire. That is why this moment matters. If this message is speaking directly to your spirit, respond in faith. Type "I received divine clarity" in the comments if this resonates with you. Lesson code 914 has just been released. Now hear this invitation that flows directly from what God is doing in you right now. As this message goes out, it becomes light for those who are still sitting in confusion. I am extending my hand to you in this sacred moment, because when you give, you are not funding a channel. You are helping God reach a soul that is still waiting for this warning. Scripture declares that those who sow into good ground will see a multiplied harvest, and today your seed becomes oil that keeps this fire burning. This is your moment to respond prophetically, not passively, by using super thanks, joining the membership, or giving through PayPal. The links are already waiting for you in the description. What you release now becomes a voice that carries farther than you ever could alone. I speak blessing over every giver, that heaven would open doors, restore joy, and accelerate clarity in your life. Act now, because obedience delayed is opportunity missed. Step into this flow and let your seed speak. Beloved listener, as you move deeper into this moment, understand that what God is doing now is subtle but irreversible. Archangel Michael remains present, not as a distant guardian, but as an active guide, ensuring that what is revealed does not fade once this message ends. Heaven knows how easy it is to feel clarity for a moment and then return to old patterns. That is why this stage is about anchoring, not just awakening. Something has already begun to shift in your awareness. You are noticing your reactions more than before. You pause where you once right. You question what you once accepted without thought. This is not hesitation. This is wisdom forming. God often slows our inner world before he accelerates our outer one. Archangel Michael confirms that this slowing is intentional. It is protection disguised as patience. There is a truth God wants you to face gently. Some of the resistance you have experienced lately did not come from opposition, but from misalignment. You were pushing in directions that no longer matched who you are becoming. Heaven allowed the friction so you would stop forcing what was already expired. Archangel Michael warns that persistence without discernment can feel like faith, but it leads to frustration. True faith flows, it does not strain. You may have felt disappointed by outcomes that did not materialize, even after prayer. But listen carefully. Those outcomes were never the destination. They were detours you mistook for delays. God was not withholding. He was redirecting. Archangel Michael stands as witness that every closed door you questioned was mercy in disguise. Some paths look promising but would have cost you peace later. Right now, heaven is refining your discernment so you can recognize alignment faster. This is why your tolerance for chaos has decreased. You no longer feel comfortable in environments that lack integrity, depth, or purpose. This is not judgment. It is maturity. When God prepares to entrust you with more, He first removes what distracts you from Him. Archangel Michael guards this pruning process so it does not wound you unnecessarily. There is also a release happening in your emotions. Old guilt, old self-blame, old narratives that said you missed it are losing power. God is correcting how you see your past. Heaven does not define you by what you survived, but by what you learned. Archangel Michael wants you to know that your past obedience, even when imperfect, still mattered. Nothing you did in sincerity was wasted. As this message continues, you may feel a growing sense of readiness. Not excitement, but steadiness. That is the sign you are aligning with heaven's pace. God rarely rushes us emotionally. He grounds us. Archangel Michael stands firm because what is coming next in your life will require calm confidence, not emotional highs. Stability is the new anointing being released over you. Pay attention in the coming days to what drains you and what strengthens you. These are signals. Heaven speaks through energy as much as through words. Where peace increases, direction follows. Where confusion increases, reconsider. This is not fear-based discernment. It is clarity-based movement. Archangel Michael urges you to trust what brings life, not what demands constant explanation. There is also an invitation here to deepen your spiritual posture. Not by doing more, but by listening better. God is drawing you into a quieter confidence. Less proving, less explaining, more knowing. Archangel Michael protects this inner shift because it changes how you walk into rooms, conversations, and decisions. You will begin to move with less urgency and more authority. You may notice people responding to you differently soon. Some will lean in. Others may pull away. Do not chase reactions. Alignment naturally repels what no longer fits. Heaven is rearranging your relational landscape to support where you are going, not where you have been. Archangel Michael assures you that what leaves now makes room for what can stay later. This stage is also about trust, trusting that clarity does not have to come with noise. God often confirms direction through peace that remains, not excitement that fades. If something feels calm and consistent, do not dismiss it as boring. Heaven often speaks through what endures, not what dazzles. Let this settle into you. You do not need to act immediately. You need to remain attentive. Obedience will reveal itself naturally as you stay aligned. Archangel Michael remains on watch, not just over this moment, but over the next steps that unfold quietly after this message ends. What is forming now will soon become visible. Not because you announce it, but because alignment always bears fruit. And when it does, you will look back at this moment and realize this was not just a message, it was a turning point. Beloved one, as this message continues to unfold, heaven is inviting you into a deeper awareness of what is quietly changing around you. Archangel Michael remains near, not to rush you forward, but to help you recognize the shift that has already begun. Sometimes the most powerful transformations do not announce themselves with noise, they reveal themselves through consistency. God is showing you that your season is not ending in chaos, but transitioning in order. You may have noticed that certain struggles no longer have the same grip on you. They still exist, but they do not dominate your thoughts the way they once did. This is not because the problems disappeared, but because your authority over them has grown. Archangel Michael wants you to understand that spiritual growth often looks like emotional stability before it looks like external victory. Heaven is strengthening your foundation so what comes next does not shake you. There is also a lesson being sealed in you right now. Not everything that challenges you is meant to stop you. Some resistance is confirmation that you are moving in the right direction. But discernment is required, because not all resistance is the same. Archangel Michael distinguishes between opposition that sharpens you and resistance that warns you. God is teaching you to feel the difference instead of overthinking it. You have been learning to trust your inner knowing again. For a long time, you doubted yourself because you listened to too many voices at once. Advice, opinions, expectations, and fears blurred what God was saying directly to you. This message is part of the restoration of your confidence, not confidence in yourself alone, but confidence in how God speaks to you. Archangel Michael affirms that your discernment is being recalibrated, not replaced. Something important is also being revealed about timing. You once believed that if God wanted something done, it would happen quickly. But now you are learning that God values depth more than speed. What matures slowly lasts longer. Heaven has been investing time in you because what you will carry next must be sustained, not rushed. Archangel Michael guards this process because premature exposure would have been costly. There is a peace beginning to settle into your decisions. You no longer feel the need to explain every choice or justify every pause. This is a sign of inner alignment. When God leads, He does not argue with you. He reassures you. Archangel Michael confirms that this peace is not complacency. It is clarity taking root. You may also notice that your prayers are changing. Less asking, more listening. Less desperation, more trust. This is growth. God is shifting your posture from pleading to partnering. Heaven is not distant, it is collaborative. Archangel Michael stands beside you as a reminder that you are not navigating this alone, even when the path feels quiet. There is a warning embedded gently here. Do not underestimate small obediences. The next breakthrough in your life will not come from one dramatic act, but from consistent alignment in ordinary moments. Choosing peace over proving, rest over rushing, truth over comfort. These small decisions are building something strong beneath the surface. Archangel Michael honors these unseen choices because heaven measures faithfulness differently than the world does. You are also being prepared to recognize when something is complete. Some seasons do not end with conflict. They end with clarity. You simply wake up one day and realize you have outgrown a mindset, a pattern, or a desire. When that realization comes, do not grieve what no longer fits. Thank God for the growth and move forward without guilt. Archangel Michael assures you that closure does not always require confrontation. Pay attention to how your energy responds to your environment. God is using your peace as a compass now. Where peace remains, you are aligned. Where peace consistently leaves, something needs adjustment. This is not emotional sensitivity. It is spiritual intelligence. Archangel Michael wants you to trust this guidance without second-guessing it. As you continue listening, something within you is settling into confidence. Not loud confidence, but rooted assurance. You are beginning to understand that you do not need to arrive to be validated. You are already seen, already guided, already protected. Heaven is not waiting for you to become someone else. It is walking with you as you become who you were always meant to be. Let this truth rest in you. Clarity does not always change your circumstances immediately, but it always changes how you carry them. And how you carry a season often determines how quickly it passes. Archangel Michael remains attentive as God continues to unfold what is next, layer by layer, moment by moment. Stay receptive. Stay grounded. What is forming now is stronger than what you left behind, and soon you will feel the confidence to move forward, not because everything is clear, but because the one guiding you is. Beloved soul, as this message deepens, heaven is drawing your attention to something very practical yet profoundly spiritual. The way you move forward from here will be shaped by what you choose to nurture. Archangel Michael remains beside you, steady and watchful, because the clarity you are receiving now must be protected from dilution. Revelation can fade if it is not honored. God is not only speaking to inform you, He is speaking to transform how you walk daily. You are entering a phase where discernment becomes your greatest asset. Not discernment fueled by suspicion, but discernment rooted in peace. You no longer need to analyze everything endlessly. God is teaching you to recognize truth by how it settles in your spirit. Archangel Michael warns that overthinking can delay obedience just as much as fear can. What feels clear does not need constant reevaluation. There is also a refining happening in how you respond to pressure. Situations that once triggered anxiety now invite reflection instead. This is evidence of growth. Heaven hath been strengthening your inner world so external storms no longer dictate your decisions. Archangel Michael confirms that emotional regulation is not spiritual numbness. It is spiritual maturity. You may notice that some people do not understand the changes in you. They may call it distanced seriousness or withdrawal. But what is actually happening is focus. God is narrowing your vision so you are not pulled in 10 directions at once. This narrowing is not loss, it is alignment. Archangel Michael assures you that what truly belongs with you will adjust, not accuse. As this alignment continues, God is also teaching you the value of consistency. Breakthrough is rarely dramatic at first. It often begins with small, repeated choices that compound over time. Heaven celebrates consistency more than intensity. Archangel Michael honors the days you show up quietly, pray simply, and choose integrity when no one is watching. There is an invitation here to engage more deeply with what is feeding your spirit. What you listen to, what you watch, what you agree with internally, all of it matters now more than before. God is not restricting you, He is refining your intake. Archangel Michael warns that spiritual clarity can be blurred by constant noise, even if that noise feels harmless. This is also a moment to recognize that you are not meant to walk this journey alone. God uses connection to reinforce revelation. When you like this message, share it, or leave a comment. You are not performing an action for visibility, you are creating agreement. Agreement strengthens faith. Engagement anchors revelation. It signals to heaven that you are not just hearing, but responding. If this message has been guiding you, stay connected. Subscribe so you continue to receive what heaven releases in this season. There are messages that build, not just inspire, and consistency matters. If you feel called to go deeper, join the membership and commit to growth beyond surface-level encouragement. This is not about hype. It is about stewardship of what God is already doing in you. Understand this. When you support what feeds your spirit, you are choosing alignment over distraction. Archangel Michael values environments that cultivate truth, because truth must be revisited to be retained. What you repeatedly expose yourself to shapes how firmly revelation takes root. There is also a subtle shift happening in your confidence. You are becoming less reactive and more responsive, less defensive and more discerning. This shift will protect you in future decisions. God is building a version of you that can be trusted with clarity. Archangel Michael stands guard because clarity attracts responsibility. You may feel an urge to rush ahead, to see the full picture immediately. But heaven works progressively. God reveals what you need when you need it. Archangel Michael reminds you that impatience can cause you to mishandle what is sacred. Pace is part of protection. Pay attention to how your priorities are rearranging themselves. Things that once felt urgent now feel optional. Things that once felt optional now feel essential. This is not random. This is alignment becoming practical. God is restructuring your inner compass so future decisions come with less struggle. As you continue with this message, let yourself remain present. Here is more unfolding that will connect the clarity you are gaining now with a very specific confirmation that is coming soon. Hold on, because this next stretch will bring together everything you have been sensing but could not yet explain, and once you see it, you will understand why heaven insisted you stay with this message until now. Beloved one, there is a sacred stillness forming around you now, and it is not emptiness, it is focus. Archangel Michael remains present as heaven gently quiets the unnecessary so the essential can rise. This phase is about consolidation. What God has revealed is beginning to settle, not just in your thoughts, but in your posture. You are standing differently in the spirit, even if nothing around you has visibly changed yet. You may be realizing that you no longer need constant reassurance. The hunger for signs is being replaced by trust. This does not mean you have stopped caring. It means you have started believing. God is moving you from dependency on confirmation into confidence in communion. Archangel Michael confirms that this is a sign of spiritual adulthood. When trust matures, panic loses its voice. There is also a strengthening of boundaries taking place. Not harsh walls, but clear lines. You are becoming more aware of where your responsibility ends and where God's begins. This awareness brings rest. You are no longer trying to manage outcomes that were never yours to control. Heaven carries what you release. Archangel Michael stands guard to ensure you do not take back burdens God has already claimed. Something else is becoming clear. Not every open door is an assignment. Some doors are distractions dressed as opportunity. In earlier seasons, you may have walked through them out of obligation or fear of missing out. Now, discernment pauses you. Peace questions you. God is teaching you that saying no can be just as holy as saying yes. Archangel Michael warns that overextension is a subtle form of disobedience when it pulls you away from what heaven has assigned. You might feel moments of solitude even when surrounded by people. This is not loneliness. It is consecration. God often sets apart what He intends to use with precision. This separation is not permanent, but it is purposeful. Archangel Michael ensures that this space does not feel isolating, but grounding. In this space, your voice becomes clearer, your prayers become simpler, and your direction becomes firmer. There is also healing continuing at a deeper level. Not the kind that brings tears, but the kind that brings stability. Old emotional reactions are losing intensity. Old triggers are losing authority. This is not because you are suppressing anything, but because God is resolving it. Archangel Michael witnesses this healing because heaven values wholeness more than appearance. You may find yourself less interested in explaining your journey to others, not out of secrecy but out of peace. Some things do not need to be defended when they are divinely directed. God is teaching you that clarity does not need consensus. Obedience rarely makes sense to everyone, but it always aligns with heaven. Archangel Michael reassures you that misunderstanding does not equal misdirection. As this unfolds, your prayer life may feel quieter but deeper. Fewer words, more awareness. Less asking, more resting. This is intimacy, not distance. God speaks most clearly where there is trust. Archangel Michael stands near because intimacy requires protection from noise, comparison, and doubt. You are also being prepared for discernment in motion. Soon, decisions will need to be made without prolonged deliberation. Not rushed decisions, but confident ones. God is training your spirit now, so when that moment comes, you will recognize His leading quickly. Archangel Michael ensures that when movement is required, fear will not paralyze you. Notice how your values are surfacing more clearly. You are less willing to compromise for convenience, less willing to shrink to maintain harmony. This is not rebellion. It is alignment. Heaven is shaping your integrity so it can support what is coming next. Archangel Michael honors integrity because it sustains blessing. There may be moments when you wonder if anything is actually happening. But understand this: foundations are built quietly. No one applauds the laying of groundwork, yet everything depends on it. God is doing foundational work in you now. Archangel Michael remains attentive because what is built correctly will not need constant repair later. Let this part of the journey teach you patience without passivity. You are not waiting, you are preparing. Every insight, every shift in perspective, every moment of restraint is contributing to what will soon move forward with clarity. Heaven is not slow. It is precise. Stay attentive. Stay grounded. The next unfolding will bring a revelation that ties your inner transformation to an external confirmation. When that happens, you will not need convincing, you will simply know. And Archangel Michael will still be there, ensuring that what God begins, He also completes. Beloved child, you have arrived at a turning depth, not a turning point. A turning point changes direction subtly, but a turning depth changes capacity. Archangel Michael is present because heaven is not only guiding where you are going, but expanding what you can carry when you get there. What God is doing now is internal reinforcement. You are being strengthened so that future blessings do not overwhelm you. There is something important heaven wants you to recognize. You are no longer operating from survival. Even if challenges remain, your spirit is no longer in defense mode. That shift matters more than you realize. Archangel Michael confirms that when survival ends, discernment begins. You now have the ability to choose based on wisdom instead of urgency. This is why this message feels steady rather than dramatic. You may have noticed that certain desires have changed. What once felt essential now feels optional. What once felt distant now feels relevant. This is not inconsistency. It is recalibration. God adjusts desire before He adjusts direction. Archangel Michael guards this process because misplaced desire can pull you away from divine timing. There is also a confirmation unfolding quietly. The clarity you are gaining is not temporary. This is not a momentary spiritual high. It is a new baseline. God is stabilizing your inner world so you are not shaken by every external shift. Archangel Michael warns that instability often masquerades as sensitivity, but what you are receiving now is strength wrapped in calm. You are also learning the difference between peace and avoidance. In the past, you may have avoided situations to maintain comfort. Now, you are choosing peace even when it requires courage. This distinction matters. Heaven honors peace that is chosen, not peace that is escape into. Archangel Michael stands with you because courage and peace must walk together. Pay attention to how you now respond to uncertainty. You may not have all the answers, but you are no longer spiraling. You are waiting with trust instead of tension. This is a sign that your faith has matured. God is not testing you by withholding information. He is trusting you with patience. Archangel Michael assures you that patience is not delay. It is preparation in motion. There is also a release happening from comparison. You are less concerned with where others are and more attentive to where you are led. This frees your energy. Comparison drains discernment, but focus restores it. Heaven is narrowing your vision so your steps remain steady. Archangel Michael confirms that focus is protection. You may soon notice a subtle external confirmation. Not fireworks, not instant results, but alignment. Things begin to make sense without forcing them. Conversations flow without strain. Decisions feel lighter. These are signs that inner alignment is producing outer coherence. God often confirms His will through ease, not effort. Archangel Michael reminds you not to distrust what flows naturally. There is also a gentle warning here. Do not rush to explain this season to others. Some things are meant to be lived before they are shared. God is still forming language for what you are becoming. Archangel Michael protects what is still forming. Premature explanation can weaken what needs time to mature. As this part settles, recognize that you are being entrusted with something sacred: stability. In a world driven by reaction, stability is rare. God is making you a steady presence, for yourself first, and later for others. Archangel Michael stands guard because steady people become anchors in uncertain times. If this message has confirmed what you have been sensing, respond in alignment. Type "I am anchored in truth" in the comments if this resonates with you. Blessing code 2486 has now been activated. And now, receive this invitation that flows directly from this anchoring. As God establishes you, He is also using this message to reach those still drifting in uncertainty. I am speaking to you personally in this moment, because when you give, you become part of the rescue before others even realize they need it. Scripture declares that those who water others will themselves be refreshed, and your seed today becomes a river of clarity for souls still searching. This message does not travel by accident. It moves by obedience, and your super thanks, your membership, or your PayPal gift becomes fuel for this divine assignment, with the links waiting in the description. I release blessing over every giver, that stability would multiply, peace would deepen, and divine order would mark your steps. Do not delay this act of alignment. Move now, and let your obedience speak louder than words. Beloved one, what you are experiencing now is the quiet confidence that follows alignment. This is the stage where heaven no longer needs to persuade you, because your spirit has already agreed. Archangel Michael remains present, not because danger is near, but because stewardship is increasing. When clarity deepens, responsibility follows. God is entrusting you with awareness that must be handled with humility and consistency. You may notice that you are less reactive to emotional noise around you. Situations that once pulled you into confusion now feel distant, as if they belonged to a previous version of you. This does not mean you have become detached or cold. It means your inner center has stabilized. Archangel Michael confirms that stability is not indifference. It is strength under control. Heaven values this posture because it allows you to act wisely instead of impulsively. There is also a deeper understanding forming within you about obedience. Obedience is no longer something you associate with pressure or loss. You are beginning to see it as protection. God did not guide you to restrict you. He guides you to preserve you. Archangel Michael wants you to recognize that every instruction from heaven is designed to keep you aligned with peace, not to burden you with rules. At this stage, temptation will not come loudly. It will come subtly, through invitations to compromise your pace, your values, or your focus. Not sinful temptations, but misaligned ones. Opportunities that look good but would distract you from what is best. Archangel Michael warns that discernment now matters more than enthusiasm. Not everything that excites you is assigned to you. You are also becoming more comfortable with silence. Silence no longer feels empty or awkward. It feels full of awareness, full of presence. God often speaks most clearly when we are no longer demanding answers. This silence is not absence, it is intimacy. Archangel Michael stands guard here because silence protects revelation from being rushed or misused. There may be moments when you feel a subtle grief for what you are leaving behind. Old identities, old expectations, old versions of yourself that helped you survive but cannot help you grow. This grief is not regret. It is release. Heaven allows this emotion so you can transition honestly. Archangel Michael assures you that honoring the past does not require returning to it. You are also learning to trust gradual change. In earlier seasons, you may have expected God to move suddenly and dramatically. Now, you are seeing that some of the most powerful transformations happen incrementally. A thought directed here, a habit adjusted there, a boundary strengthened quietly. These small shifts are reshaping your future more effectively than one dramatic moment ever could. Pay attention to how your decisions feel now. They are less charged with emotion and more grounded in truth. You are not asking, "What will people think?" as often. You are asking, "Is this aligned?" That question marks maturity. Archangel Michael confirms that alignment-centered decisions reduce regret because they are not driven by pressure. There is also a strengthening of patience taking place. Not passive waiting, but confident endurance. You are learning to move when prompted and wait when instructed. This balance is rare, and heaven is cultivating it carefully in you. Archangel Michael remains attentive because timing is as important as direction. Right steps taken at the wrong time still create struggle. You may soon notice that certain answers arrive without prayer. Not because prayer has lost importance, but because communion has increased. God is responding to your awareness. You are learning to recognize His leading in real time. This is not mystical or complicated. It is relational. Archangel Michael stands nearby because real-time discernment must be protected from doubt. You not be surprised if others begin to seek your perspective more often. Not because you have all the answers, but because you carry peace. Peace drives trust. Heaven often positions steady people as quiet counselors. Archangel Michael reminds you not to overextend yourself here. Offer wisdom, not rescue. Guide, but do not carry what is not yours. There is a final reminder in this stage. Do not romanticize what God has already closed. Nostalgia can reopen doors that heaven sealed for your good. You are not meant to revisit old seasons to prove growth. Growth speaks for itself through consistency. Archangel Michael warns that backward glances can slow forward movement if they linger too long. As you remain in this posture, something will soon crystallize. A realization that ties everything together. Not all at once, but clearly enough for you to move with confidence. When that moment comes, it will not feel dramatic. It will feel right. And that is how you will know it is from God. Stay grounded. Stay receptive. The final stretch ahead will bring both confirmation and commissioning. What began as a warning is becoming preparation. And heaven is not finished speaking yet. Beloved one, you are now standing at the edge of embodiment. What God has been revealing inwardly is beginning to ask for expression outwardly. Archangel Michael remains present because this phase requires courage, not contemplation. You have spent time discerning, listening, and aligning. Now heaven is teaching you how to walk in what you know without hesitation or apology. There is a shift happening in how you see yourself. You are no longer defining your identity by what you are preparing for, but by who you are becoming. This matters deeply. When identity stabilizes, actions become simpler. You are not trying to prove anything anymore. You are responding from truth. Archangel Michael confirms that when identity is clear, confusion loses its leverage. You may notice that opportunities are beginning to approach you differently. Instead of chasing doors, you are recognizing invitations. Instead of striving, you are selecting. This is not passivity, it is authority. God is repositioning you from pursuit into stewardship. Archangel Michael stands guard because stewardship requires discernment more than desire. There is also a refining in your speech. You are becoming more intentional with your words. Less explaining, less reacting, more speaking when it matters. Heaven is teaching you that words carry weight when they are aligned. Archangel Michael warns that careless words can undo clarity, but intentional words can establish peace. You are learning the difference. As this embodiment unfolds, you may feel moments of resistance, not from others, but from old internal habits. Habits of doubt, habits of self-questioning, habits of waiting for permission. These habits once protected you, but they are no longer needed. God is gently dismantling them. Archangel Michael assures you that discomfort here is not danger, it is transition. This is also the stage where consistency becomes visible. People may begin to notice that you are not easily shaken, that you move steadily, that you do not react the way you used to. This is not performance. It is fruit. Fruit grows naturally when roots are deep. Heaven is more interested in your roots than your reach. There is an invitation here to participate actively in what God is doing through this message. When you like this message, you are not clicking casually, you are signaling agreement. When you share it, you are extending an invitation to someone else who may be standing where you once stood. When you comment, you are anchoring this moment in faith, not just emotion. Engagement is not noise, it is alignment. If this space has been feeding your discernment and strengthening your walk, stay connected. Subscribe so you continue to receive what heaven releases consistently. Join the membership if you sense a call to deeper formation, not just inspiration. This is about continuity. Growth happens when truth is revisited, not just received once. Understand this clearly. What you support shapes what surrounds you. When you choose environments that reinforce clarity, clarity becomes easier to maintain. Archangel Michael values consistency because it guards revelation from fading. Heaven often sustains what we choose to steward intentionally. You may also notice that your sense of urgency has changed. You are no longer rushing, but you are not delaying either. You are moving when prompted and resting when instructed. This balance is rare. God is training you to recognize the difference between divine urgency and human anxiety. Archangel Michael stands near because mistaking one for the other can lead to burnout. There is also a strengthening of resolve happening now. You are less likely to abandon what God has shown you just because it becomes inconvenient. This is maturity. Faith that only functions when comfortable is fragile. Faith that endures inconvenience is grounded. Heaven is cultivating grounded faith in you. As you move forward, remember this: embodiment does not require perfection. It requires presence. You do not need to have everything figured out to walk in alignment. You only need to stay attentive. God corrects direction mid-step far more easily than he moves someone who refuses to step at all. Archangel Michael confirms that movement with humility is better than stillness with fear. Before this message continues to unfold further, pause with it. Let it settle. What comes next will tie your embodiment to a very personal realization, one that brings clarity to a question you have carried quietly. Hold on, because this next unfolding will bring everything into focus in a way that feels unmistakably timed for you. Beloved one, you are now entering a phase of recognition, where understanding settles not as information, but as knowing. This is the quiet confidence that comes after obedience has been practiced, not just considered. Archangel Michael remains near, because what God is revealing now is not new. It is familiar in a deeper way. You have sensed this truth before, but only now are you ready to carry it without fear. There is a realization forming within you that the struggle was never about capability. It was about permission. You were capable long before you felt ready. God was shaping your inner permission to move forward without waiting for external approval. Archangel Michael confirms that this internal shift is critical, because destiny delayed by self-doubt often looks like patience, but feels like stagnation. That season is ending. You may begin to notice that your prayers feel different again. They are less about asking God what to do, and more about aligning with what you already sense He is saying. This is not presumption. It is partnership. God is not withholding direction. He is inviting you to trust the discernment He has already developed in you. Archangel Michael stands guard because this level of trust must be protected from insecurity. There is also a clarity emerging around your role. Not a title, not a label, but a function. You are beginning to understand how you are meant to show up in the spaces God places you. Not louder, not smaller, but truer. Heaven is refining your sense of contribution so you no longer feel the need to imitate others. Archangel Michael reminds you that comparison clouds calling, but clarity sharpens it. You may feel moments of tension as this settles. Old patterns will attempt to reassert themselves, not because they still hold power, but because they are familiar. Familiarity often resists change even when change is good. Do not interpret this resistance as a sign you are doing something wrong. Archangel Michael assures you that resistance at this stage is often confirmation that a cycle is closing. There is also a deepening peace anchoring itself in you. Not the kind that ignores reality, but the kind that faces it without fear. This peace does not depend on outcomes, it rests in alignment. God is teaching you that peace is not the reward after obedience, it is the companion during it. Archangel Michael stands watch because this peace is what will steady you when decisions carry weight. Pay attention to how you now interpret delays. You are no longer assuming they mean denial. You are asking what is being refined in the waiting. This perspective shift is maturity. Heaven often uses waiting to strengthen discernment, not to test worthiness. Archangel Michael confirms that you are no longer being tested, you are being trained. There is a release happening from the need to control how things unfold. You are learning to do your part and trust God with the rest. This does not make you passive, it makes you effective. Control drains energy. Trust multiplies it. God is restoring energy to you by teaching you where your responsibility ends. Archangel Michael guards this boundary because burnout often comes from carrying what was never assigned. You may soon recognize that certain answers arrive through action, not contemplation. As you move, clarity meets you. This is intentional. God often reveals the next step once the current one is taken. Archangel Michael reassures you that you do not need the full map to walk in obedience. You only need the next step illuminated. There is also a strengthening of humility happening now. Not self-doubt, but grounded awareness. You know what you carry, but you do not need to announce it. Heaven trusts those who do not need to prove their anointing. Archangel Michael confirms that quiet confidence is often the most authoritative presence in a room. You may find that people respond to you differently in this season. Some will feel drawn to your steadiness. Others may feel uncomfortable around your clarity. This is not something to manage. Alignment naturally reveals contrast. God is not asking you to adjust yourself to be more acceptable. He is asking you to remain faithful. Archangel Michael stands firm because faithfulness is the currency of heaven. As this part of the journey nears its completion, understand this. What God has been forming in you is not temporary. This is not a phase you will outgrow. It is a foundation you will build on. The warning that began this message has done its work. It has awakened attention, refined discernment, and prepared obedience. One final unveiling remains. Not a warning this time, but a commissioning. What comes next will not ask you to listen more carefully. It will ask you to step forward more confidently. Remain present. Remain open. The closing revelation will bring everything full circle, and you will understand why heaven insisted you hear this message all the way through. Beloved child, this is the moment where heaven brings completion, not an ending but a sealing. What began as an urgent warning has now matured into divine confirmation. Archangel Michael stands with unwavering presence because this final unveiling is not about information. It is about activation. God has been preparing you, layer by layer, to stand firmly in what you already carry. You are not leaving this message the same way you entered it. Something has shifted permanently in how you listen, how you discern, and how you respond. This is not emotional momentum. It is spiritual alignment. Heaven has been recalibrating your inner compass so that even when things are unclear externally, you remain steady internally. Archangel Michael confirms that this steadiness is your new normal. There is a deep truth settling now. You no longer need to wait for a louder sign. The clarity you have received is sufficient. God is not going to shout what He has already confirmed in peace. This is where faith becomes action, not rushed action, but grounded movement. Archangel Michael reminds you that obedience does not always feel dramatic. Sometimes it feels simply right. You may sense a quiet authority rising within you. Not authority over others, but authority over your own decisions. You are less easily swayed, less easily pressured, less easily distracted. This authority had been forged through listening, waiting, and refining. Heaven does not hand this out lightly. It is entrusted. Archangel Michael stands witness that you are ready to carry it. This is also a moment of release. Release from the fear of missing God. Release from the anxiety of getting it wrong. Release from the belief that clarity must always come with struggle. God is teaching you that when alignment is present, peace accompanies direction. Archangel Michael assures you that heaven is not testing you now. It is partnering with you. You are stepping into a season where discernment becomes instinctive. You will recognize what is aligned more quickly. You will disengage from what is draining without guilt. You will choose what strengthens you without over-explaining. This is maturity. Heaven values this posture because it sustains long-term obedience, not short-term enthusiasm. Pay attention in the days ahead. You will notice subtle confirmations. Not overwhelming signs, but consistent reassurance. Conversations that affirm direction. Opportunities that align without strain. Decisions that feel lighter than expected. These are heaven's way of saying, you heard correctly. Archangel Michael will remain near, ensuring you do not second-guess what has already been sealed. There is also a commissioning in this moment. Not necessarily to a platform or a title, but to a way of being. You are being commissioned to move with clarity, to speak with intention, and to live from alignment rather than reaction. God trusts you with this because you have learned to listen. Archangel Michael confirms that listening precedes authority in the kingdom. Understand this clearly. Heaven does not rush completion. It confirms it. And this message has now done what it was sent to do. The urgency was not to create fear, but to awaken attention. You responded. That response matters. Heaven honors responsiveness. If this message has marked you, seal it with agreement. Type "I walk in divine alignment" in the comments if this message has spoken to your spirit. Blessing code 6391 is now released over your obedience. And now receive this final invitation, flowing directly from this commissioning. I am speaking to you personally, because God does not gather listeners. He raises partners. When you give in this moment, you are not supporting a voice. You are extending heaven's reach to souls who may never hear this warning otherwise. Scripture declares that those who sow generously will reap in due season, and your seed today becomes a living echo of this message across the world. You super thanks. Step into membership or give through PayPal. The links are already placed in the description, because this act is not financial, it is prophetic. I speak blessing over every giver, that alignment would deepen, provision would increase, and clarity would remain strong in every decision you make. Do not delay what heaven has prompted. Move now, and let your obedience become part of what God is doing beyond you.